Hey, welcome to the Virtually Speaking podcast, VMware Explore 2025 coverage. It's day 3. The announcements are done. There's so many great conversations that we've been having all week. John, how you doing, sir?
I'm just speechless, in terms of all the capabilities, all the conversations we've been having. The value of this conference has been great. Every year I'm like, I've been doing this a long time. Is it worth, flying out to Vegas yet again? And then I get it and I'm like, oh man, this is.
And then you realize the value.
I realize the value of coming out here. So
I love your segues. I love the transition. Yes, we are talking about the economic value of VCF. And joining us on this conversation is a very good friend of ours, Mr. Drew Nielsen. Drew, welcome back.
Hey, thank you. Day 2.
How's your week been going?
It's been good. We've had a lot of customer interest in our economic value story. Had a really good session yesterday. We've got a booth over here, and it's just been nonstop. We were a little concerned, though, about the overall economic value of VCF because John did not wear the hat to the podcast.
Oh, the stock dropped immediately.
Oh, I know. It was crazy.
I fly in without the hat, and the TCO alters by 3%. Is this like
more like 7?
Sometimes you would be shocked at the things that move the markets and don't. I am shocked that Taylor Swift got engaged yesterday, and the S&P, had a completely flat response. NASDAQ, no response. So, some things move markets, some things don't.
It's a balance, yes, absolutely. So, Drew, from your perspective, what's been the big difference between the story last year and the reception this year?
Yeah, I think last year a lot of the customers were still sort of in that 5 stages of grief when it came to perpetual pricing and licensing.
Yeah.
And this year, the customers who really are with us are here, and they've really kind of doubled down on VCF and are saying, look, let's sit down, let's look at the value story, let's build the models. We've got a great story in 9 with the memory tiering.
Absolutely.
It's really as monumental as what ESA was to vSAN, and it really moves the needle when it comes to our overall value story, and just the overall platform itself has just been amazing.
So, talking to these customers and building these models, I know historically I've always been cynical of any TCO numbers and things, where vendors like throw a paper out there and look, it's 50% more value or whatever, your ideal weight, 30% fewer calories, more filling, is like a lot of this stuff. And how do we work with customers to make sure these numbers are real and real to them?
Absolutely. I mean, we start with very much list apples to apples pricing. So when we go look at our competitors, we are taking their published pricing. We obviously are sharing our pricing with our customers. And then we are looking at what they are currently spending in their environment. So whether you're on a 3-tier architecture or maybe you've got some public cloud and some 3-tier, we can blend those costs overall and really present a model that is intellectually honest. So when you think about it, and these are average numbers, on average, VCF is about 40% less costly than public cloud and about 50% less costly than building it yourself on a 3-tier data center. And there's a really important distinction because a lot of people will be like, it's expensive. It's like, VCF isn't expensive, but it is costly.
Price does not equal cost.
Exactly, because when something is costly, it means you're getting value out of it.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's expensive, it just means I spent a lot of money, it didn't work. And we've seen with VCF 9 that it's delivering on all of the promises that we've made in that space.
Yeah, that was a good point. So is there any difference in economic value from 5.2 to VCF 9?
The initial numbers that we've been running is about 12%. A lot of that is in our compute over subscription consolidation. We have other savings around facilities and just, the overall evolution of the technology. Like I said, memory tiering is huge to that value story, and that is really one of those game-changing big rock features that you're like, okay, that will move a model. That will change things if you embrace it.
That is when every time I'm talking to a customer who's looking at a hardware refresh, I'm like, you have to make sure your hosts, have the drives for that, have the slots for that. You are going to be making a profound financial mistake if you try to save $50 and, don't get a host that you can shove one of those NVMe drives for that NVMe tiering.
And even as we look at things like hardware refresh, and our models take into account, it's like, are you an Intel shop? Do you like AMD? We can even plot that out to say, look, you've got a 2-socket server and you're running a Gen 5 Intel. We can actually factor that in as part of the overall cost model.
Well, and that's something I feel like some people historically, when they were doing hardware refresh, a common mistake I saw is people would go talk to their VAR, talk to their reseller and be like, the reseller would say, what do you need? And they'd say, well, I've got, 500 cores. I need another 500 cores. And, if you're hopping 4 CPU generations,
absolutely.
and you have workloads that can do advanced offloads, or you're taking advantage of the new, you're moving from vSphere ancient to, the glorious vSphere 9 here. Like, there's these features and capabilities. The scheduler has gotten smarter. These capabilities have extended. And so bringing all that into a tool together to help understand the implications of the software change, the hardware change, and the customer's consumption, their unique value, that's a powerful story.
Yeah, we actually launched the tool in Barcelona last year, the economic value tool, and I'm really curious how has that progressed from Barcelona to now?
As we look at the tool, it's called the Private Cloud Maturity and Optimization Tool, which is a huge mouthful, so we just call it PCMO.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah, every time. But the PCMO tool, when we launched it in Barcelona, it was TCO, it was cloud maturity, and then there was a proposal building capability in it. So a rep could sit down with a customer, build a TCO model, understand where they were at in their private cloud journey, and then here I've got a document that's actually tangible that we can work off of. Fast forward that less than a year now, we've added in things like past value analysis, which is a fancy way of saying, okay, what is the value of VMware over time brought to me? So if I do a look back 5-10 years, I can be like, this is all the value that vSphere brought me. This is all the value that VCF brought me. But then I can do a current state value model of where am I from a value perspective. And you still obviously have the TCO pieces, but the one thing that we launched this week was an upgrade readiness capability for VCF 9. And the booth has been blowing up with it. We've had multiple people, probably about 50 customers a day, just going through the upgrade readiness. And it's a very simple way to go, am I ready for 9? What are my gotchas? Are there any potential blockers?
Oh, what does that look like for the upgrade readiness tool? Like, what's the output?
The output is just a very simple 2-page document showing, what are blockers, what are your essentially things you should worry about, and then what is green to go. And it just gives you a good idea of what do I need to fix before I move. And it's just, whether you're greenfield, brownfield, or you're going from 5.2 to 9, it will give you that, it'll paint you that picture so that you can get on with your upgrade.
And see, this is great because, Pete, I tell Pete, yeah, we're just going to YOLO it to the next level. I've got 500 VMwares and I'm just going to throw them into the future. But no, actually having a methodical approach. And we've talked to some customers who are already on 9. We just had one on the last episode here we were recording. They talk about all the methodical work, the current state, that readiness, that capability. It is interesting. I was like, wow, people are upgrading relatively quick to a GA drop. But
yeah, very quick.
There's a lot of tooling and capability to help support that, which helps.
So what advice do you give to customers that want to actually understand this whole model? What advice?
Whether you're engaging us directly with our direct sales teams or you're going through a partner, they all have access to this tool. Sit down with us. It really starts with 4 numbers: host, VMs, allocation for vSAN, and then do you want to do a 3-year or a 5-year model? And that's step 1. But then sit down with us. They'll bring in whoever your IT financer, who's ever running your IT budgets, and look at the overall spend together, and we will build you a model to justify this investment.
I like it. Let's do it. Let's get signed up. Is there any way we can find a way to make John remember his hat in this tool, or is that not part of the tool?
That is going to be in the next release, in 3.1. We're working through the feature on that.
I feel like this promise is going to cause RevRec issues, but
it might.
Very good. Drew, thanks so much for joining us on Virtually Speaking, and enjoy the rest of your week.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.